affirmative action. But Clarence Thomas used it to get where he's at, and then he jerked the ladder up behind him. And so, um, I think I would love to see him impeach him and Alito, especially Amy Coney
Hey, what
Barrett.
about Kavanaugh? What about
I don't
Kavanaugh?
agree with
Both
her, but
Kavanaugh and Thomas have allegations. They have essay allegations towards them. You know.
yes, they have all kinds of stuff they've been doing. I mean, they have they're both they've been messing with their ethics on like opinions on cases and being bribed for and their taxes and everything. I think that should both be impeached. Amy Coney Barrett, I don't agree with a whole lot of what went on with her, but so far she's kind of walked the line on minding her her taxes and I mean I think she's more honest actually than either one of them are, even though I don't she's kind of a culty like thing. I mean really as far as her ethics, I don't think she's as damaged as them two are.
Well,
I
in
guess
terms of women
Alito is
too,
just
it's good to have a
disgusting.
woman. We should have more women on the Supreme Court. So even if you have a conservative woman, at least there's a woman that's there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You have more women, more representation. I, I mean, of course, you don't have to agree. I think that's fine. I think we should have conservative people in the Supreme Court justice, and we need progressive people. We need a balance. There should be a force of diversity because the problem is, I wouldn't want a whole panel of progressives. I wouldn't want a whole panel of conservatives because then you don't have balanced
yeah.
rulings. We should have like four people who are conservative, four people who are progressive, and then that allows us to have more balanced rulings.
Yeah, they need more. I'm all for Biden. There's 13 federal districts now. There was 9 when so I think they should expand it to cover the 13 districts. And I don't care if they put 100 people on the Supreme Court, because the more people that are on the Supreme Court, the less power each one of them has individually. And so I think that it would produce better rulings. You wouldn't have you wouldn't be able to make that. It's be a lot harder to get a whole bunch of people to vote one way than 5 or whatever. And even Roberts has tried backing it down, because he knows that he's over. This is his legacy. This is his court, and they're making him. I mean, this gonna be like the most corrupt court. It's got the lowest ratings of any that we've ever had in the United States. So, and I just hope Biden decides to do something about it if he wins again. And like I was talking about, the war in Gaza and stuff is going to have a big effect on all us. It has the potential of, because the left, on the far left, the young people and stuff are really becoming anti-Biden because of the war and TikTok and stuff. And if some of them sit out vote, or the Muslim community sit out voting, then we may end up with Trump again, which I don't even know. I think I want to go live in Canada if he wins again myself. I
I think
might
we
have
need
to
more
anyway,
third
as
parties.
vocal as I am about him. So I might have to. He'll come hunting me. You know what I mean?
I hear you. I think we need more third party representation. We need more libertarian. We need more Green Party. We need to focus on the country being able to have more viable options. The problem is we have this bilateral
Two
situation.
parties.
Two
Yeah.
parties. It's bicameral. It's not working. Having Democrats and Republicans is not working. It's not allowing for the voices of probably most Americans to be represented. People I hear say, "I'm going to vote for Biden because he's the lesser of two evils." That's not a good choice. You should vote for the person because you think they're a good person for office. That's
Well,
terrible.
yeah, but sometimes it's not a good choice. I mean, it's not ideal. But the thing about it is when you're going to end up with one of the two evils, you have to go for the lesser. You know what I mean?
Oh
Uh,
no, I understand that point. The point that I'm saying is that's the problem in itself. The root is that you have two parties. If you had Green Party and you had Libertarian Party and you had other voices that actually could be viable candidates, I think that's what we need to push for. You know,
yeah. Well, see, but like one of my senators is a libertarian, and I think he's horrible. Rand Paul. here in Kentucky. You know, he's not. I mean, he is he is just a crook. You know, I mean, he's just owned by big money. He's a racist. He fought like getting rid of making public hangings illegal. You know, and stuff like. I mean, he's just gross. Is what he is. I send him an email every week telling him to stop embarrassing my state. He doesn't listen at all
Well,
about it
one
either.
thing
He
that is good about
continues
someone,
to embarrass my state.
but one thing that's good about someone like a Rand Paul or a Ron Paul is that they will stop imperialism and colonialism. They say they're isolationists, which I think America needs to go towards is looking on how do we build jobs in the United States? How do we make companies hold companies accountable and say, look, you're outsourcing and getting these like cheap iPhones. You're making iPhones for like $1, and then you're selling them to $1,000 to the American people. That's a
Mhm.
big problem.
Yeah,
Why
but
don't you make products here and
he's not his dad though. His dad was different.
I
Rand's not.
hear you, but
Rand's not his dad. I mean, Rand is he was the only senator that voted against the PACT Act. You know, the for the veterans. The only senator. There was only one, and uh, you got that many 99 or whatever senators to agree on something, and one said no, and he was it. And why? And when I emailed him and asked him why, he said because they couldn't prove that they got that cancer from those. Yes, they did prove it. I mean, that's how they won. Ended up getting. It was just like blow my mind. You know what I mean? So he's not his dad. His dad was more libertarian. He is nothing but just sort of he doesn't want to do anything for anybody. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have anything in this country if it was up to him. No kind of social security, nothing. There'd be no kind of nothing to help anybody.
and I do
Just
think that can be an issue with certain elements of libertarianism. I understand that point where it's
I got
like
mine. Too bad. That's what you know.
having regulation, and I think that's the point. The idea of having small government isn't a bad thing. Small government is a good thing, but you need to have government. And where does that government go? And I think the government should be focusing on helping the people. That's me as a social worker into law. That's my interest. How do I support the community? How do I help people? And I think that's one of the saddest things. The people who are left behind are people who are of European ancestry in America, European Americans, who are disenfranchised. They're impoverished. And then what they do is they hear someone like the former President Trump say, I'm going to make America great. America's tremendous. America's wonderful. Everyone's a lightweight. You hear these things, and you hear him talking, and then the people are like, "Wow, I love that guy." Like you hear him, and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
and they had no
for you.
history. They don't remember Hitler saying, "We're going to make Germany great again."
And
You
he's
know,
not for you.
and Charles Lindbergh's America First group that you know what I mean that fought and refused to allow the Jewish people to come over here. They don't even know any of that. They don't know the
You're right.
history of that. You know what I mean?
You're
Make
right.
America great. Well, I mean, I'll make Germany great again. That was Hitler's slogan. So
That's true.
you don't think that they're similar? You know what I mean? And I don't know. I understand. I actually voted for Trump the first time. I'm embarrassed to say. I
I
know,
don't think
but
you should be embarrassed. I think that's fine. That was a choice that
um,
you made. I think Hillary Clinton was not a very good candidate. She did not. She just thought she could just win based on her being a senator and having, you know, the clout. She didn't run a campaign. So I'm like, if you're not running a campaign and you're not trying, then people aren't going to vote for you. And Trump sounded like he was a fresh new voice. He was saying new things. He's like, I'm going to drain the swamp. I'm not a politician. There were some charming things about it.
I knew he was
And
bad, but I just didn't know how bad. I didn't know how bad he was. Just, but and Hillary, I watched an interview with Howard Stern after the election. Hillary did a 4-part interview with Howard Stern. If I had seen that interview before the election, I probably would have voted for Hillary. I did not. But at that time I drove a lot. I didn't keep up with politics a lot, and I was you know, I mean, what I did keep up with was probably through mom and dad or something, and they're all Fox News people. I was badly misinformed on a lot of things, but
No,
um,
I understand that it's a hard situation, and living in the South, there is a different. Having lived in the South, it's a very different kind of narrative than living in the North. I've lived in both places, and there's a different way that politics are viewed. It's
yeah,
viewed differently. Culturally, it's different. It's a different kind of space. Um, and I see like a lot of Southerners have distrust for Northerners, and then Northerners find Southerners as kind of stupid hicks. Like that's the thing. You have this very kind of this huge impasse, which I think is
cultural, yeah,
problematic. We're
yeah.
divided in our own
We are
country.
like two separate worlds almost. I mean, we consume different media,
Yeah.
and so not that I think that neither side probably portrays everything perfectly right, but I think that I do feel like that one side is intentionally lying, or about a lot of stuff. Because I can watch it, I can go over there to my mom and dad's and watch it and see it and know the lie, recognize the lie. So,
I mean, what
and
you're
you're
saying is
right,
not
Casey. I mean, but I was not. I really, after I watched that interview with Howard Stern, if you didn't like Hillary or whatever, just watch it sometime. It's a 4-part interview. It's a long interview. It's it's it shows you a whole different Hillary than what I saw before the election. But I mean, my vote wouldn't have been the one that kept Trump from winning anyway. But um, I lost my the pandemic is when I was done with him, because I know enough about medical stuff to know that everything he was doing was wrong. So that's when I felt like he just flubbed that really bad.
I think you're right. I think it's a very complex situation, and we just have a lot of polarization. And I think the problem with the former President Trump is that it's not really he himself. He's just kind of like a reality TV star. He's playing himself. It's the people who are around him. That's the really big problem. The people around him are the ones who are kind of running the show. And
Yeah,
there's these people
they
who
were
are
not good
very,
people.
very right wing. See, if there were a bunch of like liberal progressives around him, he wouldn't have a problem. Like
Steve
he's
Bannon. I mean, Steve Bannon's. Alex Jones people are influencing him, and the Pillow Guy, and you know,
my pillow. My
and,
pillow.
and,
I have
and
his pillows. They're
Stone,
really good.
and just gross people, just nuts. I mean, Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy used to be. I mean, I used to really have a raw respect for Rudy after 9/11. He really was um, pulled together during after that for the city of New York. You know, it just I don't know. I'm just worried because it seems like no matter how gross Trump gets, they just they don't even pay attention to it. I just don't understand it. But we'll get off Trump. That wasn't what was.
Sure.
You want to talk about something about diversity? Maybe did you want to
I can
go there?
answer
Or?
your questions too if you want. You have some questions in the chat if you wanted me to answer any of
Oh, okay.
those.
Did they have some questions?
Yeah, Carrie Ann Chrysler had a question. And I
Oh,
think B.S. Lewis did too. C.S.
let me
Lewis. B.S. Lewis.
go look at the chat.
I like Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, I marked a few questions that people asked along the way, and
Okay, go ahead,
you,
Joe. Then you can ask them.
well, I mean, if you want, you can go through them. It doesn't matter. There's not a whole bunch. There's just like 5. I think one of them's more of a statement, and one of them's a 2-part thing anyway. So there's not a whole lot right now. Yeah, I mean, if you want me to ask them, I will. I don't care.
You can go ahead.
So B.S. Lewis says, aren't the holy books on both sides a huge obstacle for building that trust? Talking about between Gaza and Israel.
Right. So the Tanakh and the Quran. I think it's the interpretation of the text. It's not the text in of itself. There isn't an objective reading of the text. you have different readings of the text. So there are some readings of the text that are really not very healthy, but I think, and they're not. So for me as a person, so you have different, like as a person who's been special ed in teaching, you have different lenses you can use. You can use a feminist lens, you can use a Marxist lens, you can use a progressivist lens. So it's really the lens. We're arbiters of whatever text we're reading, right? So when people do like charlatan, like do grifting, and they tell you, oh no, there's an objective reading, there's not. There's no objective reading of any text. We have our own reading of the text. So as a person who is more of what you would call a progressivist, a spiritualist, I read the text through that lens. I see the Quran and the Tanakh as spiritual texts. So I don't face these problems. The reason is, if you're a literalist, if you're a hyper literalist and you think the text is literally true, then you're going to have some problems. You know what I mean? If you're going to say, yeah, it's okay to kill people, it's okay to hurt people, it's okay to have bad relationships with your wife, yet no, don't. That's not good. So the obstacle isn't really the book; it's the lens. That's how I would answer that question.
It's who you're letting interpret the book, I guess.
Exactly. It's the interpretation. It's not the book itself.
Yeah. Let's see, Carrie Ann. What is Issa's ideal outcome? What kinds of challenges does he want to see happen? I think that's supposed to say changes. What improves lives to prevent conflict?
My ideal outcome is unity. I actually like the verse from the Bible, from the Tanakh, from Isaiah. It says, "Beat your swords into plowshares and beat your spears into pruning hooks, and make war no more." That's my ideal. I like the Star Trek world. If you all have seen Star Trek, I like how the Federation is, where people are. There's a certain kind of equality and equity. There's a movie actually called Chronicles of Riddick. I don't know if you've seen with Vin Diesel, but there's a place called New Mecca. There's a world there, and it has all different kinds of religions and cultures and people living there. And that's the ideal of what Mecca was supposed to be. But the problem is, it's people are now saying, I'm going to gatekeep and just have it for just Muslim people, and I find that to be sad. I think we should be an open, welcoming society, all spaces. So with Palestine and Israel, I hope, if we have a two-state solution, that Palestine will have Israeli citizens, like people who are Jewish citizens of Palestine, and Israel will have Palestinian or Muslim citizens of Israel. That would be my ideal outcome. Is if we have the two-state solution, that would occur.
Yeah. Okay. Carrie Ann, again, here we have class separation, poverty, lack of affordable housing, etc. These make life bad here and have much to do with our own political polarization. So I was wondering what issues on the day-to-day need to be fixed there. I guess that's more of a refinement. Yeah.
I think the same issues here are the same issues there in a lot of ways. We need to I know that I can only focus on things on a local level. I can't change everything and change the world, but I can change the circumstances around me. So my goal in life, and I'll answer their question too, is to change what's around me. Say, look, people need resources. We need to stop the myth of bad poor versus good poor. This is a lie that we're being told, the myth of scarcity. We have to destroy these narratives, these myths. They're saying, well, these bad poor, they're on welfare because they didn't deserve it. I'm going to stop it. No. A lot of these people might have mental health issues. There's a whole host of reasons why people are suffering. Let's not go to that narrative. I would then say it's the same situation there. Everybody, I believe in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're familiar with it, where everybody needs to have safety, security, self-actualization. Everybody deserves to have these rights. They deserve to have their needs met. So I think all these people in these areas do. People need food, they need water, they need shelter, they need safety. They need to feel that when they walk out, no one's going to hurt them. And that's actually a big problem we have in the United States, like with patriarchal structures. Women have that. As a man, like I've talked to women and I was like, they said, I'm catcalled, I'm harassed, I'm afraid when I go out, I have to carry mace with me because I don't know if I will be attacked by another man. I'm like, I feel really sad. I'm like, the men that I have around me are not like that. But there happens to be men that are like that I haven't seen, or I haven't seen that side. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So I think creating structures that allow people to feel safety and not feel like they're going to be abused or attacked is important.
Yeah. And what do we have?
Let me
What can
just
we do?
say, let me tell you, y'all hooligan, I saw his message and thanks, but I probably will have to leave the milk truck here if I come to Canada.
Don't get to take that with you, huh?
No, I'll probably be in a much smaller vehicle.
That's funny. What can we do as consumers and citizens? I don't know if that's specific to something.
I can answer that question, like
Yeah.
even in general. I think people have this problem where people are like, let's just boycott, divest, and sanction. They like to take the BDS route. And I've talked to people that I really love that take that position. I don't think that's the right position. I think the right position is saying, hey, let's send money and support, give resources, even if we don't know if the money will get there. At least we can make that intentionality and use that dollar that we have to help those children who are suffering in both Palestine and Israel, making sure that they have resources. I think that's important, making sure they have food, water, all of these things. Focus on that. Focus on being positive. Focus on, using this word, quote unquote, the light. Focus on how to be a better human being and helping people instead of saying, how do I punish people? We focus so much on negative reinforcement. How do I punish? How do I hurt? I'm like, that's not going to help people. Focus on how you can help people.
Yeah.
And that's how you should use your dollar. Give money. And that's one thing I've noticed in the secular humanists. My family are actually, my mom's family are secular humanist Jews. The most religious people in my mom's family are Reform Jews, which are really, really liberal, progressive Jews. But my family are they're secular humanists and atheists, a lot of them. And
Yeah.
I have a funny little story about that where my uncle, he married an Irish Catholic woman. So my aunt is an Irish Catholic woman because my mom's generation intermarried with other groups. So before that, they all married Jews, but then after that, they kind of intermarried with other ethnic groups. So like African American, like I have cousins who are African American, I have cousins who are Irish, so I come from a kind of multicultural background. And so the story was my aunt's sister, I guess she would be an aunt to my other aunt that I've never met, became a born again Christian. So my cousins went over to my born again Christian aunt's house, and they said she was saying, you need to believe in Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Do you know who Jesus is? All of that, you know the standard. So they were like, we don't know who Jesus is. We don't know any of this because we don't come. We're like, what is this? We don't even know what we really believe. So they came to my uncle and aunt, and they said, how do we handle this question? Like, what do we believe? Dad and mom, what do we believe about this? And he said, we believe in love. That's what my uncle and aunt said. We believe in love. We believe in love and compassion for our fellow person. So, that's where I stand too. We should believe in love and compassion and understanding for our fellow folks and our fellow lives. So, what was the other thing? That point of just being open-minded and compassionate and being accepting.
Yeah, we all have to live here as people, even with different beliefs. So why not make the world better for people in general? I think sometimes, especially in the atheist community, we get hung up a lot on, well, this thing is harmful and this thing is harmful, and the world would be better without religion, and things like that get tossed around a lot. I think that don't get me wrong. If we were to have the conversation about Islam has its issues just like any other religion. But, I think that you've demonstrated that it's the person who chooses to come at these topics with a little bit of understanding and caring about other humans. And it's not the sometimes the belief influences things badly, and that's with any religion. we talked a lot about fundamentalist beliefs and things, and fundamentalism leads to fanaticism, and this is known. So instead of trying to shoehorn a book to fit everything under the sun that we experience, we should do it the other way around. Let our let our lives influence that, and let the facts of the world around us influence those things. And I wish I encountered more believers that had your attitude about it, Issa. I do, and unfortunately, that's not normally the case. But I think that you. I think that you had a wonderful interview here today, and I think Robin did a good job coming up with some topics and stuff that would cover a lot of ground without getting too bogged down into any one thing. For me, I look at the stuff in Israel and Gaza, and I say, well, this is because of two religions occupying the same area, and it's easy to throw it down as just that. But there's also the political things, and there's sure, it's being driven by religion, but at the end of the day, it's the people who have nothing to do with either side of that are dying, and that's really what we need to work harder on preventing. And I think you're exactly right. The U.S. has not came to the table with a clear conscience in this one. They've kind of beat around the bush of we're gonna support Israel and appear not to at the same time, and it's really looked kind of messy from America's involvement. We've helped improve things by getting some food and stuff to people, but we've done the least we could do, I feel like. And I hope they get those things over there straightened out before they end up killing us all. So, but you want to, you got a little longer left, Issa? 20, 30 minutes or so?
Joe, about the judgeship.
Yeah.
Because I meant to look up on this more, but they've been questioning and really some really just horrible, questions, like that they have repeatedly like asked our judges and stuff some really stupid questions, but and like Mitch McConnell has on here that he did, he says it's Biden's radical judge appointment. The opposition to radical judicial nominee is what Mitch McConnell's got on here. And then John Kennedy, I reckon he come up with some really gross stuff. But it's for the federal appeals court, is what it is.
Yeah.
So I meant to look up more about it, but it's not looking. It's really showing some of their bad sides. This right here.
How can you be willing to let those courts prosecute people when they won't include those same people in the courts?
They don't care about being fair. You know what I mean? It's radical. Why is he radical? I mean,
yeah. It's always radical something.
Has he been walking around with did he make a commercial when he ran for office with an AR-15 with the whole family? Was the whole family holding AR-15s in the picture? That's what I want to know in their Christmas picture. That if that's not radical, then I don't know what he is. So it's radical.
It's radical if you do it, but not.
I kind of think taking away rights from half of the country is radical myself. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Bitch disagree on what radical is. But our Supreme Court's a mess, by the way. That I didn't. I had to bite my lip there for a minute on that part.
our Supreme Court's
Oh, it's
garbage.
it's a disaster.
It's
And Sotomayor is talking about resigning, which like if she wants to, she needs to do it now. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is because definitely don't need to wait and see if something happens. You know that Biden doesn't win. You know, but I don't know why. I guess I don't blame the liberal judges. I wouldn't want to be on that court either with all them people.
well, I think until they're willing to have I mean, until they're willing to first of all talk about ethics
Yeah,
and have
until
the conversation about what they need to do here,
I mean,
because
like Roberts. I mean, not Roberts, but Clarence Thomas is just. I mean, he has been taxed. You know, what I mean, cheating on his taxes for. I mean, he should be in jail
yeah,
for what he's done. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um, I mean, they're just blatant. And him and Alito both were like, you can't touch us because we're our Supreme Court justices. We don't have to do anything you say. Nobody
yeah,
can tell us what to do. Even Amy Coney Barrett supported an ethics, thing. They didn't. I mean, Alito came out.
yeah.
I just can't. Alito's the one that I would just, ooh, I want. I want to see him get just fired so bad.
Yeah.
I want
They
to cry.
well, it's became clear through the stuff they've released that our Supreme Court is beholden to the highest,
The
the
Koch
highest
brothers
bid,
and
and
yeah,
you
Crow,
can't.
Harlan
I mean,
Crow.
we have ethics for all other federal judges that work just fine. But for some reason, when you become a Supreme Court justice, the only thing that changes is you get more power and you don't have to have any ethics. I mean, it's crazy to even think that this is the way that the things are supposed to work, because it's not.
But because when you become president, you have total immunity. I
Yeah,
mean, I've laughed all week about the fact that actually Trump's lawyers filed a brief with the Supreme Court on the immunity thing,
yeah,
claiming
yeah,
that the president has the right for total immunity to hire. I mean, they filed this with the Supreme Court. It said the president can have SEAL Team 6 assassinate his political opponents. Okay, never mind the fact that Trump isn't over SEAL Team 6 right now. Joe Biden is. So if they decide that this is true, guess what?
Joe
Biden could
Biden can take
have
out Trump.
Trump assassinated legally. You know what I mean? Because the Supreme
Yeah.
Court just ruled on. Of course, he wouldn't. That's unfortunately, Biden wouldn't do that. But
Well,
I mean, it's so stupid. Why would you even go in there and make that kind of argument when you're not even in charge of SEAL Team 6?
yeah, I mean, from his perspective, I would think if he's going to make that argument, he should be thankful that he believes that Joe Biden's the one prosecuting him instead of trying to kill his ass.
Well, I mean, Joe Biden's not even prosecuting him.
Well, I know. His delusions are crossing paths.
I mean, can you imagine if this was the other way around? How much overstepping out of bounds that side would be doing right now? It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Trump would be on TV every day saying, "We're gonna," I mean, he would be involved in every bit of it. It's just, it's crazy.
What Ember said here, the fun thing is that the ethics were created specifically because of corruption on SCOTUS, but then specifically excluded SCOTUS. Yeah, that's actually true. I can't remember, what was that judge's name from back in the I think 70s or 80s, I guess. 80s. I can't remember, but there was like an incredibly corrupt judge. And no, in the past. And a lot of these rules and stuff were made because of things that he did. The whole reason for putting a code of ethics on federal law or federal judges was because of things that happened in the Supreme Court. But then whenever they went and passed the law and applied it, they left Supreme Court justices out of it.
Yeah,
So the
Powell was nominated by Nixon.
Powell, I don't think it was Powell.
Yeah, Lewis Powell.
Hmm.
He is actually the one. He is actually the one that wrote, prior to him being put on the Supreme Court. He wrote the Powell document that's like the one that started the money, the dark money and stuff. He's the one that, like, for the Washington D.C.
Yeah.
I can't even think what I'm trying to think of now. But he wrote a memo about how they could gain control. He's the one that pushed the getting control of the courts. Like, that's when they started getting all the right wing billionaires and stuff started going after the courts. That was his plan.
I just watched a documentary about this guy the other day and cannot remember his name. But yeah, I mean, there's a million reasons. Like, first of all, why would anyone speak out against the code of ethics? Like,
it's hard to justify that. But Alito said no. Alito said nobody had the right. That's what Alito is. I mean, Thomas is nothing but just a you know what I mean, he's a bought and paid for person. But Alito thinks he is so much better than everybody, and he thinks he is superior intelligent. I just despise him. I mean, I cannot stand him. I would be the very first one to go. I would love to make him cry. Just kick him out of the court.
Yeah, this is the story. James Swatcher indicted 22 corrupt court personnel. That's why they came up with the code of ethics, because they found the corruption was so rampant in the Supreme Court that they needed to come up with a code of ethics. Well, the Supreme Court, of course, got to decide who it applied to and said it doesn't apply to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, Alito made that argument. He said that they didn't have constitutional authority. So here's the deal: if like Senator Whitehouse is my favorite senator. I love him, and I've read all his books and everything. He's just awesome. He's like a dog with a bone on this Supreme Court thing, and he says, you know, he is pushing an ethics thing through through trying to get it through, of making them. And he's went to the judicial conference and all that kind of stuff, everything. And then Alito comes out and says, you're not allowed to pass laws that affect us. You know what I mean? Pretty much. It's like, okay, but when it comes down to it, and those ethic rules, if they decide they're constitutional or not, it's going to be the Supreme Court that decides that. So, I mean, it don't even make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the ethics are unethical. Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
it's funny,
but
but
Congress funds the Supreme Court. They pass all the funding. They actually do oversee the nominations and appointments. So why would they not have the authority to put an ethics code on the Supreme Court when they do everything else?
Yeah, the whole idea of the judicial, executive, and legislative branches of government are to balance each other out. There's supposed to be a balance of power, and instead, what we've done is lay everything at the feet of the Supreme Court and say, well, they decide, and whenever it's them deciding on their own fate, of course you're going to get some conflicts of interest.
Yeah, and if we had like one, like Trump, as bad as he is, if he was the only corrupt one, it wouldn't be that big a deal. You know what I mean? Like if Congress wasn't, but we have Congress, we have Congress that's just as corrupt or bound down to him, that are, that are participating in this. And then we have a Supreme Court that's participating. It's like all three branches, it's a wonder that we're in as good a shape as we are right now.
That's why the Supreme Court taken up this issue of immunity to begin with, is a slap in the face to America, because this is something that isn't supported in law in any way. There are not, there's
Well,
no law.
I think the rule he doesn't have immunity. Do you?
No, I think they will too. But they threw him a bone by taking it up just to push it down the road.
Yeah, delayed. Yeah. But I think they wanted to get this out, like make sure there was some, so there wasn't no question.
I guess, it has to be important to a lot of people to know if the guy they're voting for is in fact a convicted felon. Because
some of them don't care.
No, you're right. A lot of them don't care, but there's
president from jail.
A lot of your more moderate Republicans and your swing voters, though, are and this elections are won by the swing voters. Yeah. So to take it away from those people to know whether he actually legally can be held liable for these crimes is just, it's just a disservice to the American people. And it has no basis in constitutional law, which is their wheelhouse, and it's ridiculous.
And those judges, some of those justices have a lot of personal interest in his I'm saying, in how it turns out for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Trump is very much of the belief that I did this thing for you, you owe me forever. Just like he said with Taylor Swift, I signed the Musicians' Rights Act and stuff, and it's like he didn't have shit to do with that, but because he signed it, she owes him, he feels. So you think that people that he got to personally pick for the Supreme Court, he doesn't call these people daily and say, now remember, I picked you for the Supreme Court because I was going to need you one day.
I'm pretty sure most of them won't answer the phone for him. If he called them, but they know what he thinks. Yeah. He wouldn't care a bit to say, somebody needs to do something to them. They need to be taken off the court. Yeah. He doesn't care a bit to call for his supporters to violently attack anybody, a judge or whatever.
One of the first things to go whenever you have these extremists and dictators and stuff take office, one of the first things to go is the Supreme Court, because they don't want somebody else to be telling them what they can and can't do. So the Supreme Court, they if they end up having a helping hand of getting Trump back in office, they will probably reciprocate that in some way.
I don't know. I just can't believe that it's just this bad. It's just hard
that it turned into.
But I keep looking back and I keep listening to Sheldon's, because I love Sheldon Whitehouse. I just love him. He is just so, like I said, he's a dog on a bone with this Supreme Court thing, and he says it's been this bad before.
Yeah,
he does. He talks about during the railroad, times when the railroads barons captured all the regulatory things, and they had the Supreme Court, and so there's been 2 or 3 times in our history that we have been in this position.
Yeah. There's this. We have a lot of history that could possibly repeat itself if we're not careful with this thing. This election year is really going to matter a lot, and they say that every time, but it's started to matter every time. We have one group that wants. Well, we want.
I don't know what they want.
Yeah. They don't want to govern. They
just want to be in power.
They just want power, and
I mean, we got like Marjorie Taylor Greene, voting to oust the speaker again because he passed the budget to keep the government open.
I think that's going to blow up in her face, honestly.
I hope that something does. I mean, I can't understand. I mean, the people, her district must be some of the dumbest people in America right now. I mean, I would be. I can't. Can you imagine our founding fathers if they came into Congress right now and looked and see like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert, and they would be like, "Oh my God!"
Posing for their Twitter feed.
Yeah, with her screaming like a banshee during the State of the Union. I mean, they would just be like, they didn't even really think women probably should even be governing. And there's who we got going. I mean, at least Lee is she's respect. I don't always agree with her policies, but she was she acted like a respectable person that carried herself in a respectable manner and not a
I call Marjorie Taylor Greene Klan mom.
Oh my God, she's crazy. I mean, she's just crazy. It just all her conspiracies and stuff. I mean, I don't think that we are to have to deal with her because the people of our district are that dumb. Really, I think we are be able to get her out anyway. I mean, maybe take their voting rights away from them for a while. I don't know if Issa was needing to leave and want to say bye or.
Yeah, he said he had to step away there for a second, and he came back.
Well, he's at work. Remember, he said he was at work.
So. I'll go ahead and make some channel announcements and stuff, and then if he shows back up, we can close out the show or whatever. But had a really great time with this today. You did a great job, Robin. You asked questions that were I think on people's minds, and it was a really good discussion, and Issa was very thorough with it. So good on both of you. I'm really happy with it. But
he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He is.
I think if we dove a little deeper into the the religious part of it, it's problematic. But I get what he's trying to do and all that. But we'll wait on him before we go there.
Yes.
So tomorrow we have Dave from Captive Desk will be here, and I've titled it Grilling Ham. We're going to talk about Ken Ham and some of what that group's been up to, and then next Sunday we have Purple Rhymes with Orange, and Jenny Morgan will be here, and we're going to talk about some trans issues and things as it relates to being an atheist, the atheist community, and in general too. But I've kind of got a direction I want to go with that. So we've got those things coming up. We've got, we're booked all the way through with guests till May. Well, I just took May 19th a little bit ago.
No, that's for
May 19th. Well, we won't even get into who that is yet.
Yeah.
We'll wait till we get closer. But what else do we got going? Oh yeah, everybody that went and watched the new Deep Six show on Wavelength, that ended up being a really good show, and I'm glad that we were able to take part in helping them get started and stuff, and we'll continue to work together and things. But we've got some ideas in the future of being able to work together with them. I'll be on their show coming up here April 6th, I think.
I thought it was next week.
Next week sometime, yeah.
I'm going to be on there with you. Did you get my message?
Or maybe month. Yeah. And that'll be awesome. It'll be me and Robin on there. That'll be a lot of fun. I'll have to look at the date again. I forget.
Issa, did you need to go? I seen that you put your sport coat on.
No, I'm here with you.
Okay,
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Sorry. To actually flip it back though, that's what we got going on coming up. As always, though, thanks to all the channel members and stuff that help support the channel, and you guys are great, and we've got some new stuff coming for you guys too. But let's go back now and pick back up with Issa. So what do you think the future of Israel and Gaza looks like, based on what, not what you want to happen, but where we think it may be going?
Well, I think we're going to have a solution. I think there's going to be there is going to be a ceasefire of some sort. There's several avenues of what could happen. It's possible that Israel might just take over Gaza. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but that's a possibility, that Israel will just say, you've gone too far, you're gone, I'm taking over, and that would make this whole movement look really, really bad for Israel if that's what occurs. I think there's actually a big movement in Israel. There's a protest in Israel against what's happening, because most people around the world think it's wrong. It's wrong for lives to be lost.
Well, yeah. And I think that we, in the past, we've seen what Israel did when they did have control over Gaza, and it's one of the reasons they were pressured to let the Palestinians govern themselves more, which, created the vacuum that allowed Hamas to come in to begin with. But, to say that Israel itself didn't have a play in that would be to dismiss big chunks of information.
Well, now Jared Kushner said this week he made a statement that he thought that Israel should just take over Gaza and kick all the get rid of all people and build skyscrapers and a tourist thing. I mean, so that's pretty much what may happen if Trump
and then they can go in and bomb the shit out of that too.
If Trump wins the election, that may be what that may be the future that they're facing right now. Gaza might be, because that's his son-in-law. So and he made a public statement that he thought that's what would be done.
I thought he fixed everything in the Middle East personally.
Oh yeah, except he didn't bring any of the people that were actually fighting in on that.
By fixing it, I mean he got billions of dollars for himself.
Yeah, that's what he wants to do. He's like Saudi. I guess probably Saudi investors are wanting to, to build, but just pretty much turn it into like a tourist thing. It's a resort like place, and it's so that would be like all of the Palestine. The Gaza Strip would be cleaned out.
I mean, don't we have to keep in mind here that this isn't just Hamas or Palestinians. Well, it's not Palestinians in any way, to begin with, but this isn't just Hamas. They're backed by some scary, powerful places that are pushing for this, and for them, they want it. They're happy with it either way. Either we destroy everyone or they destroy us, and then we get to act like we were somehow treated unfairly. Which again, it's the Palestinian people and the children and the innocent ones that have no dog in this fight, so to speak, that are the real victims here. Hopefully we don't see that conclusion come about.
I agree with you 100%. I think we should care about Palestinians, and that's a part of the problem. I've been in spaces where people are like, "Let's kill all the Palestinians," and I'm like, it sounds like Nazi Germany to me.
Hey, how is that ever an answer to anything?
That's what scares me about this, is because here in America, that is a big. That's we don't care. a lot. I mean, a large group of our population does not care how many brown people are killed. You know what I mean? It does not matter to them.
I know.
And, I mean, because they see things as this way. You know what I mean? You know, if they were Christians, maybe they would care a little bit, but not even necessarily about that because they.
But there are Christians there. There are Christians.
Yeah,
there
there are Christians. I know, but like the population as a whole, like but they still wouldn't. I mean, they don't. There's just a lot of big population in America that doesn't care about anybody but themselves.
It doesn't matter. Like, even if you have a group of, let's say that every person in Gaza is a Muslim extremist, every one of them. Okay, let's pretend that's the case. Genocide still isn't the way
No.
you get to peace. That's still not a viable action even against that. And
the survivors are going to be even more radicalized.
Of course.
I mean, it makes sense that they would be more radicalized now since they've been through this.
These
people, this has just made the wounds deeper.
These people have been forced, for the most part, to stay in this one piece of land, in this one area, surrounded completely by Israel. And they face there's a lot of things they face.
They got Egypt on that one side, but
yeah.
But Egypt doesn't allow them. Doesn't allow us to.
Yeah, right. The border is still controlled by Israel, though.
But no fly. They're not allowed to fly. And in our new budget, United States budget that passed their day, I think they cut all the humanitarian aid to Gaza. I think they cut it out. So that
means they may have in the new bill, but they just sent them 30 million.
Yeah,
or 300
Biden sent them a bunch of that. But then that new bill passed the other day. I'm pretty sure that they cut all the funding to humanitarian aid to them.
Biden had previously said that if Netanyahu wanted to go into Rafah, that he had best handle the humanitarian side of it better first, or it was going to be a red line for him. And so hopefully that's we quit funding acts of genocide.
Yeah, but we cut fund. We didn't cut funding to Israel. We cut funding to the humanitarian aid to Palestine.
Oh, that's what you're saying. I see. Yeah, that sounds right. That makes more sense.
So we're going to stop sending humanitarian aid over there, according to
because
that. I mean, if that budget it was in that budget. I don't know that it went through that way, but I think it did. I mean,
the United States has stuck its foot in its big old mouth on this one, and we've gotten involved in something this time that there is no. I mean, there's never really a winner in war anyway, but in this, it's going to be years and years of heartache and problems, and there's going to be other issues that arise from this down the road, and we're going to have to at some time admit that maybe we handled this poorly, and we should have been there more for the people instead of the governments, and but that's still to be seen. We'll see what happens there, but I think it's awful that, again, all these people who have no part of this fight whatsoever are the ones dying. Those are the people dying every day, regardless of what they believe. They're people, and
yeah, Issa, I'm so sorry that I hate it for you. I know it has to be.
To have family on both sides, yeah, that's got to make for fun discussions. But it gives you perspective, right? I mean, you get that perspective of what your Jewish family thinks about it, and then what the Muslim community does as well. Oh,
he had to do.
Yeah, he must have got busy there.
Let me bring up one more thing. The attack on Russia in Moscow. the music hall. Um, ISIS is claiming that it was part of it. Putin is trying to say it was Ukraine. Now, I felt like it came the same day as the United States had requested the UN to demand a ceasefire. Actually, at the UN, they put forth the thing, and China and Russia blocked it.
Yeah, of
The
course.
ceasefire. So it just so happened that the attack came after that Russia blocked the ceasefire. Do you think that had anything to do with that?
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure that's
I mean,
that.
ISIS is not Ukrainian. I mean, is there large groups of ISIS in Ukraine?
No, but it sure does serve the other partner. You said Russia and China blocked it. It sure does serve the other partner, Iran, though, to do that, because what they do there is Putin. Putin can then say, "You see, they're pushing for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, they're attacking us in these places." And then he can use that and say, "No, it was Ukraine that did that," and it works for his narrative, actually, whether anybody buys it or not.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, see, he didn't say ISIS. He's never, like, the Russian media is not saying ISIS. ISIS is claiming responsibility.
Right. Well, ISIS, they're not gonna be outdone either. They want recognition for what they did.
Yeah. They're like, somebody's trying to steal what we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's trying to blame somebody else for what we did. But I mean, it was terrible.
That's one point I imagine they won't play politics with is they want recognition for that.
And the United States had warned Russia, and it's like it's citizens that were over there, but it did because there's it says they warned, they shared with them that there was probably going to be a large attack on Moscow, within Moscow, and it would be, and they even knew something about music concerts.
Yeah.
And so pretty sure that if they know that much, they know who the people that were attacking were going to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they had all that information, they knew where the source of this attack was going to come from. And so, that's why I think that it was probably ISIS, because that's what the United States intelligence is saying.
Well, let's no, I agree. I agree completely. It's never as it seems, is it? But let's wrap this thing up. What do you say? Right. So we can get Issa back to doing what he needs to do. And
thank you, Issa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us, by the way. And you were a great guest, and I enjoyed the conversation, and I think a lot of other people did too. We've had a lot of the same audience here since the very beginning of the show, which is impressive. But you want to tell everybody anything you got going on or coming up, or anything that you want everybody to know before we get out of here?
So Robin knows I am the co-host of Matters Now. We're going to be reading Arabian Nights. So we're going to look at I'm going to be the primary lead for this one coming Wednesday. So we're going to be reading some really cool stuff about the Arabian Nights on Matters Now with Max. I'm always streaming on Matters Now. I'll probably be looking at the biblical verses with Flat Earth versus Globe with Dr. J. Dr. J's a really cool cat. Yeah. Good buddies. Best buddies. So you'll be seeing me on Matters Now, so make sure to stream in. I'll definitely catch you all here at the Kentucky Atheist, and I think this is really kind of cool. I like this platform. I definitely like the conversation, and the last thing I want to say is that we need to care about all human beings and support all of these lives. I think that's the most important thing. Support the Palestinians, support the Israelis. These people haven't done anything wrong. They're innocent people. They deserve love and care and humanity, and they deserve to have all the rights. So,
yeah,
agreed.
I don't think there's anything better we can say than that, right? Yeah, Robin, you got anything else you want to talk about before we go?
Like me and you are going to be on which I kind of slid myself in there and got myself invited. But you know what I mean? So we're going to be on Earl and Hooligan's new channel next week. I think it's Saturday. I think it's what I think it is.
Yeah, it's
And other than that, go subscribe to my channel. I don't have much content up there, but I would like to have some subscribers. But like I post just stuff that I've been on like this and stuff like that. But
I will get links to all that's mentioned in the description as soon as the video ends. And
it's free, so you know.
Yeah. But you'll be able to find everybody linked in the description. I think actually I'd already linked Robin, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if Issa did something on his own outside of like had a channel where it was just different subjects you wanted to cover or what. So I didn't put a link for Matters Now because I wasn't sure.
That's where I stream mostly. I don't, because I'm in school. I'm doing social work. I'm doing allied health. I'm mostly doing school. So I when I can stream. Like that's the easiest thing. I'm not managing a channel right now.
Yeah.
I do have my own channel with things that I stream. I can post this video too if you like.
Yeah, sure.
I will do that.
We do panels all the time on Sundays at about the same time. So if you're ever free, I know Sunday probably isn't
also every Sunday, so you can always to come. If I'm invited, I will come.
You're welcome to come join in. We open things up a lot. You can usually tell depending on the topic of whether we're gonna be able to open things up or whether it's going to be a focused discussion like this one. You can usually tell, but we try to open things up and let as many people come on and state their position.
We have a trivia night on what night is trivia night?
We do trivia Wednesdays at 9, which is not religious based at all. It's completely we don't talk about religion really at all. We just do trivia.
You don't do trivia on the moon landing? Is the moon landing real? I'm actually quite good at trivia. My fields, my specialties are I know movies. I'm very good at film, video games. Like I'm pretty good at books. So those are my things. So
we started giving away gift cards every week now too.
Give away a gift card every week or something, or building up like a lottery. I don't know which one they decided to do, but
it's kind of both. So we have a drawing every week for a $25 gift card, and the way that we've done it is we pick a number range and let everybody pick a number that participates, and they can pick a number, and then if nobody hits that number, we carry it on to the next week. But now we're not doing like with 10 people 1 to 100. We try to limit it. We try to let somebody win it, but if they don't, we carry it on in the next week. It's $50. So I think it was a neat idea to keep things going and stuff.
And there's a lot of people that come. I mean, it's a pretty good crowd that plays now. Azzo's in charge of that. So
Azzo hosts that number, and it does really well. I mean, it's so I'm apt to let it continue. You
hear that,
Azzo? Azzo, we didn't even get to see him today. I should have dropped a link just for him. He probably feels completely left out. Hell, he probably left already. Nope, there he is. Need a better host for trivia. Just saying. Yeah.
So, what topics do you have for trivia? What kind of things do you cover?
Well, we do general knowledge stuff. Sometimes, it just depends really. That it's not usually a focused subject or anything. It's general knowledge, and then we may I'm working on a Jeopardy board top deal where it's got different categories that are, I guess, put in Kentucky language. And but it's just general knowledge stuff. We hit a little bit of everything.
Like, do you know what Pythagorean's theorem is, or
A squared plus B squared equals C squared?
Yeah, no, but
that wasn't a question.
Would it be A squared plus B squared equals C squared, or would it be what is it? S to the fourth, you know, or W plus D, you know, like would you have like L times W times H? Would you have like those as your kind of, you know, questions and you have to guess which one is right, or how does it go?
I mean,
one of my favorite questions that I answered first was like, who was the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds back in 19? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Johnny Bench, number 5, Johnny Bench. I wrote like 3 papers on him in high school or grade school, so but stuff like that.
So we haven't done a lot with showing things on screen yet because, like I said, I just kind of set up the trivia board and things, and so now we have it to where we can display the questions and do more things kind of like that. But for the most part, it's
Pop culture.
Yeah, pop culture stuff, not hard stuff, not too hard anyway. And the whole gift card thing's all decided by participation. There's no winners. There's no score. It's just
cool.
Just have fun, bullshit.
Not having fun. Oh, well, I like that. Well, I'll come join you on a trivia night. Just let me know, both of y'all. I'll definitely come in. I think it's fun.
Carrie Ann's pretty hard.
Yeah,
she's pretty tough.
Carrie Ann and Pinworm take this stuff seriously.
Yeah, Carrie Ann's tough. Carrie Ann is right on with the answer. She types fast too. So we need.
You ever play Kahoot? Do you ever do
Kahoot? That's part of the biggest thing is getting the answer typed in. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing it, because you know you may know the answer, I like misspell it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. We do. Like I said, right now, it's just been pretty much just finding some trivia questions and asking them. And Azzo has had Michael come on and kind of help him manage the questions and stuff to make sure he's not, you know, getting anything wrong, kind of the fact checker of the thing. But we're, as we progress more into a more streamlined way of doing it, all of that stuff will be more available. And we're talking about doing different kinds of trivia stuff, like not just random questions, but like stuff that's about a particular subject for whatever reason, or you know. So there's a lot of different things we're talking about doing with it. But for now, it's mostly just random trivia questions. Could be anything. But,
I love that. That sounds great.
Well, I hope if you get to come, you like it, and it's we do that every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern for anybody else that's interested, and then you know, lots of great stuff coming up, and we'll be on at 6 tomorrow. So catch us for that show with Dave from Captive Desk. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna pretty much just shit talk Ken Ham for about an hour, and but I guess with that, let's get out of here, right, guys?
Ken Ham from Australia. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.